that day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Oh, hold my beer for
Good morning, guys. Thank you all for being here with me. Today is Nolan Xavier Wells' funeral. I'm sorry I'm bringing it to you late. It started about 22 or 23 minutes ago. But nevertheless, I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and bring it to you now. Let me just say, hit the like button coming in, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And let me say thank you for doing that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring the funeral to you right now. It's live going on. It's a live. Let me just go ahead and get it up. Thank you all for being here. And I will be dropping my avatar in just a minute. I'm just trying to get everything. Let me.
The one who will never fail. He will never fail. I'll trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail.
Make sure y'all hit that like button coming in. All right.
Perfect submission. All is at rest. I know.
And let me just say, if you can hear me, would you go ahead and put a 1 in the chat? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear everything. If the audio is good and everything.
This is my song, praising my risen King and Savior all the day long. Oh, I'll trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. I'll trust in God, my Savior, the one who will he'll never fail. He'll fail. He will never fail. I sought the Lord, he heard and he answered. I sought the Lord, he heard and he answered. I sought the Lord, he heard and he answered. That's why I'll trust him. That's why I'll trust him. I sought the Lord, he heard and he answered. I sought the Lord, heard and he answered. I sought the Lord, he heard and he answered. That's why I'll trust him. That's why this is my story. This is my song. he answered, I sought the Lord. He heard and he answered, I sought the Lord. He heard and he answered. That's why I'll trust him. That blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Oh, herald salvation, purchased by God, born of his spirit, washed in his eyes. So the Lord, he heard and he answered. I sought the Lord. He heard and he answered. I sought the Lord. He heard and he answered. That's why I'll trust him. That's why I'll trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never, 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 never fail. He will never fail. I'll trust in God, my one and only Savior. He will never, 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 never fail me. Oh, I'll trust him. He will never fail. I'll trust in God.
Come on, give it up for Brother Thaddeus. Come on, give it up for Brother Thaddeus. Come on, give it up, give it up. Give it up for Brother Thaddeus. Certainly we thank him, certainly thank him. At this time, we're going to call on the eulogist of the hour, none other than the Reverend Al Sharpton, who certainly does not need no introduction. So at this time, we will hear from the president and founder of the National Election Network, the host of Politic Nation on MSNBC Now. The MS Now, let's hear from Reverend Al Sharpton at this time.
First, let us pray. Dear God, we come this morning as humble as we know how. We come to celebrate the life of this young man, Nolan Xavier Wells. We come with a painful acknowledgement of you allowed him to return home at a young age. We can't question what you do, but we can ask for the strength and power to be given us to go through this and understand the meaning of this and to seek what is required of this at this hour. Look on his family, his mother, his father, his siblings, and all of his blood relatives that long after the cameras are gone, long after the crowds stop coming by, they will bear the burden of an empty chair in the house. They will bear the burden of memories that will not ever leave them. And give them the strength to find some meaning and give them the memory of the joys that he brought them and wipe away their tears from their eyes so that they can see and be what he would want them to be at this hour. We don't have words or anything we could give, but you have the strength and the power to hold them up. And we ask for that strength today. And look down here in Mississippi today and let us pursue justice. Whatever the situations are that led to this, let every stone be rolled back and every veil be torn asunder. And let truth pop out of the ground like a flower. And let justice flow down like a water and mercy like a mighty stream. These blessings we ask in your name. Amen. Let me first give honor to the pastor who has been so wonderful in allowing us to be here today. Senior
Put
pastor.
a one in the chat
Nolan,
if you all can hear
executive
the
pastor.
audio good. Thank
Reverend
you.
R.D. Holmes, who heads National Action Network in Tallahassee, came all the way from Tallahassee, Florida, and to some of those, there you are, I'm looking for you, you did the scripture. Some of those that came to just give strength to the family. We honored, flew all the way from New York with me this morning. Spike Lee is with us. And the one and only T.O., Terrell Owens, wanted to be here with the family. In fact, if you look to your right, everybody look to your right, shake hands with that person because you are Elmer and Christian's special guest. Everybody, shake hands with the person to your right. So you can't say you were not special from the family. Everybody here. Before I start the eulogy, I want us to hear from the mother and father of Nolan because they are the ones that bear the burden, the pain, and the will to go forward to make his name stand for what it should stand for. And I want us to hear their words. Many of us have different emotions, but no one's emotion should override the emotions of the mother and father. We are here to stand with them. This is their child. And you can't be more angry or hurt or burdened than them. So don't outrun them. Let us stand and uphold them at this hour of grief. Let me ask them to come and give a few words. The mother and father, Elmore and Christine.
First, I want to give all thanks and honor and glory to God for choosing Elmore and me to be Nolan's parents. We thank you, Lord, for the beautiful 18 years that you blessed us with him. Thank you for the joy he brought not only to our family, but also to his friends and everyone in the community whose lives he touched. Nolan had such a gentle, calming spirit about him. He had a way of making people feel seen, welcome, and valued. He could lift your confidence with just a few words and make you feel like you belonged. If you ever had the privilege of meeting our son Nolan or calling him a friend, then you experienced a glimpse of God's love through him. He was both protective and nurturing. He often told us that one day he wanted to have 3 daughters that he would name Sophia, Charlotte, and Olivia. He had a deep love for the Lord and an unwavering faith that was evident in the way he lived his life. As much as our hearts are broken, we find peace in knowing that our son is resting in the arms of the Lord. We will miss everything about him, from his quiet nature to the corny jokes, his gentle smile, the way he made everyone around him feel comfortable, loved, and at ease. Your absence has left an emptiness that can never truly be filled. A piece of our hearts will always be missing. Nolan, your father and I are incredibly proud of you. We've always been proud of you, of the young man you were, and we will always be proud of the legacy of love, kindness, and faith that you have left behind. In a world that can often feel dark, be like Nolan. Be the light that brightens the lives of those around you. Be the warmth for those who may be feeling the coldness of the world. Love deeply, protect fiercely, and welcome others with kindness. And remain faithful, knowing that God is always with you. Lastly, I ask that each of you keep Nolan's memory alive. Hold him close in your hearts. Share his stories and never stop saying his name. As long as we continue to remember him, his light will continue to shine through us all. Nolan, we love you. We'll continue to fight for you. And until we meet again, and thank you all for coming. Thank you.
You guys gotta excuse me. I might be kind of all over the place a little, but um just from first of all, I want to say out of all my kids, Nolan was the one that would crawl backwards on the regular. Like babies crawl forward, he would crawl backwards. And he had this crazy haircut that I just I don't know. You had to see it, to know him. But I want to start off by saying how proud I am of you, my son. You grew up to be a very young man that everyone enjoyed to be around. The constant lectures from me about having character, self respect, self discipline, and perseverance really hit home with you at an early age. These were the things that I had to live through to really be able to pass down to you and your siblings. I remember when you first asked to play basketball, and I admit I was kind of worried because you never picked up a basketball, you never shot one. We didn't have a actual basketball goal. The only thing we had was that Walmart special, the little plastic one that everybody breaks in the first few days. But on that first day of trials, you shocked me and your mom. And just to make a long story short, you, Jalen, and Javon won y'all first championship together. Middle school was even more exciting because you were not just making a name for yourself on the football field, the basketball court, and the baseball diamond, but you were also laying the groundwork for your little brother Elmore. I nicknamed you Mr. Cool Hands because it seemed like you was catching a touchdown every game. You wanted to be the best. So I poured all my knowledge into you that I could by taking you to the gym to work out, taking you to the beach to do drills in the sand, teach you how to watch film, how to study your opponent's strengths and weaknesses, and you carried these teachings all the way through high school and had an amazing run. Also, during that time, you met a lot of friends, you helped a lot of people, and you became well liked by many. It really warmed me and your mother's heart when we would get a phone call or an email from a teacher talking about something that you did for a fellow student. All the teachers love Nolan. The day you came home from college, you came in the room and you asked me about training. You would always ask us or always tell us about things that you want to do for us. When you signed with a school, you want to do this and take me and your mother there. And I would always tell you that, son, you need to take it one day at a time. During this time, you trained, you worked out, the bond with your younger siblings grew stronger because they looked up to you for motivation, especially your younger brother, which played the same position that you did. You guys' competition, Cannon, Nolan loved you, and he wanted you to do just as good as he did. Ethan, the same way. Even though you weren't a receiver, he wanted you to do great things. Carly, Jaden, with you guys being the oldest, he wanted the best for you guys. And I know that he would have did anything he could to make you guys happy. I just want to say thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for coming out and celebrating our son. Nolan meant a lot to a lot of people. And today it just shows us how much he meant to the community, to the country, and to the world. Thank you guys again for coming out. We appreciate it.
Can we have all of his sisters and brothers to stand? Give the family your love. James Wellborn is here, the father of Sonia Massey. We appreciate him being here. When I was called about what happened to Nolan, and as the days went on, the parents came to our Harlem headquarters of National Action Network and told the story as they knew it at that time. Attorney Ben Crump, who I call the Attorney General of Black America, began looking into this situation. And since then, every day, I have thought about what this means and what it could mean. And a lot of what this could mean, it could be the healing or it could be the poking of the wound. That's going to be decided by what we do. The senior pastor of this church had the courage of his faith to open the doors of this church and let this family funeralize him, even though he knows that some, I'm sure, in the city would wonder why he would even do that. And the dividing of our children of God is something that we have to get over. one of the things that I'm glad to see is that there are people of all races at this funeral. And there are people of all ages. All whites are not a racist, and all blacks are not angry. Somewhere in the middle, we've got to meet and find what is just and fair. And that is why we want to celebrate Nolan, and at the same time say we want a full and thorough investigation. We don't want nothing sugar-coated either way. But for an 18-year-old young man to no longer be with us, we want answers, not biased either way, just answers. And I think that for the family, the closure can come if there is justice. We will see where it goes. Some have prejudged. I do not think that it is appropriate for either side of opinions to prevail without a backup and fair investigation. We cannot say it was racist, but we cannot say it was not racist. So let's not judge either way until all the evidence is in. And in that light, let me say this, and I'm going to take a brief text and I'll move on. There are those that are so full of hate that they would send hate messages to the house of these parents. They sent one that Christine shared with Attorney Crump and I, and it accused her and Elma of just stirring trouble and accused the lawyers, Attorney Crump and I, or they just want money. First of all, I don't get any money in any of what we do. Most of the cases that you have seen us do, we help to pay the funerals and all of that, and never ask for a dime back, even if they got settlements. But since Mississippi's so special, I'm not only saying we don't want nothing. I want to say right here now, and I'm inspired by who accused us of that I want to put up from National Action Network and me. I want to offer a reward of $50,000 to anybody I want to put a reward up for $50,000 for anybody that could give the information that will lead to an arrest and a conviction in the case of what happened. He was not on that island by himself. Somebody saw something and knows something. So I didn't come to make money, I came to give money. Stand up and tell the truth. Whatever it is, good or bad, we're not going to prejudge it, but we cannot end it until we know all the facts. So all you got to do is reach out to Attorney Crump's office, and National Action Network could do that if it leads to an arrest and conviction. And I guarantee you'll have it before the sun goes down. I want to thank Tyler Perry, who has paid for the funeral. We didn't call him. He called me and said, I want to pay for that. I want to thank Byron Allen and others that have contributed, some that don't even want their name called. I was thinking as a scripture in Genesis, the 4th chapter, that passage that starts at the 2nd verse said, and again she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain a worker of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought unto the Lord an offering of fruit of the ground. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock, and their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. The Lord said to Cain, why art thou angry? And why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is contrary to you, but you must rule over it. Cain spoke to Abel, his brother. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel, your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And the Lord said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. The story of what we have faced in America is a question that started in the first book of the Bible with the first sibling. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Or will we, out of some emotions, some anger, some jealousy, some envy, maybe some bigotry, decide rather than deal with building up the beauty that God put in us, that we will harm our brother and that we will harm our sister, and through some malice try to hide it? But the Bible says that the victim's blood cried from the ground. I hear this morning Nolan's blood crying from the ground. Am I my brother's keeper? Or am I the keeper of some secret, some information that you could give and won't stand up? But the blood's gonna haunt you. Those in law enforcement, your job is to follow the oath, not to follow the preference of what goes down. There are those that want me to condemn people before we know whether they're right or wrong. Now, yes, there's some questions around this, and this is not a rally. This is a praise and worship service, and we'll deal with those questions. But you know, it's interesting. I exercise every morning. I tore my something in my knee about 2 weeks ago, and they told me when they did the X-ray, Reverend, that I had torn my meniscus, and I had to go to get some surgery. And they said when I went to get surgery, they said, well, wait a minute, your doctor has to give us your history so we don't get the wrong thing to deal with your surgery. So the medication you may have and the what you have to do to recoup and the exercise you have, we got to base that on your medical history. Well, the reason why what's happened to Nolan under unquestioned, unanswered questions. Gone, phone and keys found 2 days later. You don't tell nobody you had the phone or the keys. When you confronted, you first tell another story. Then when they finally get the phone and the keys, there are things erased from the phone. There's just too many unanswered questions. Somebody saying that he told us he was leaving the island. So I don't know an 18-year-old person, black, white, or undecided, that gives somebody their phone. I'm a lot older than 18. I wouldn't trust Crump with my phone. So we just raising the questions. Where is my brother? He went out with y'all. He came back not with the, where is my brother? And because of the background, like they asked me before they give me surgery, they went to my medical history. So the reason why a lot of people in the nation are looking at this Nolan situation is that we've looked at history in Mississippi. Some of us remember what happened in Mississippi. And because of what happened in Mississippi, doesn't mean it's guilty today, but before we can medicate and heal today, we got to look at your history. Because history will decide, can you handle the medication? I look back into history, and I noticed that Emmett Till happened here. All the way to Medgar Evers happened here. Based on the history, we got to be able to dig deep. We can't have people in law enforcement saying there was no foul play before an investigation. We got to look at the history. Now, I know, and I told Christine and Elmer, they're going to say, you had Sharpton come down, and that could be controversial, but don't get me wrong. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in a section called Brownsville. I first had, my parents had a nice home in Queens, nice middle-class home. And Daddy left, and Mom had to move to a tenement in Brownsville. I didn't grow up in Fort Greene like Spike Lee. They were middle class. We was poor. We weren't even poor. We was poor. And we had, Spike don't know nothing about this, but we had roaches. And I remember I went one night and I went in the kitchen. Sister had gone to bed, mother had gone to bed. I looked in the kitchen and I saw these roaches all over the kitchen. And I'm looking for the Raid. Some of y'all grew up like me, know what Raid is. I'm looking for the Raid to spray the roaches. I ran and woke up my sister. And I said, there's roaches all over the kitchen. She said, leave me. I said, get up, you got to help me. There's roaches all over the kitchen. She kind of stumbled and come down the hall and hit the switch and fixing her eyes. And when she looked, she said, ain't no roaches in here. I said, no, they were right here. She said, you woke me up. I don't see no roaches. She went back to bed. She was angry, didn't want to hear from me. I went back again and looked in the kitchen, roaches everywhere. I went back and grabbed it again. I said, come on, come on. You got to see it. I'm not kidding. She stumbled in. She cut the light on. Roaches was gone. So I'm now in the little hallway trying to figure this out. And I figured it out that when you cut the light on, the roaches run. I did not come to Mississippi to cause no trouble. I come to cut the light on. And if we cut the lights on, you're going to see roaches start running all over. It's time to cut the light on.
Turn the light on.
It's time to get rid of our differences. It's time to let love rule over hate. It's time for a new Mississippi. It's time for a new coming together. It's time for us to stand together no matter who's wrong. God will make a way for his children.
Mm-hmm.
That's why God can use this occasion to make blacks and whites in a state with a bad history say in Nolan's name, we're going to come together and we're going to find out the truth here together. We're going to love together. We're going to make his name be the difference between those of the past. We're going to have some justice and some fairness no matter what it is. We're going to cut the light on. We're going to get rid of the roaches. Thank you and God bless.
That was good. That was good. Turn the light on. Get rid of the roaches. If y'all enjoyed what Al Sharpton had to say, put a 1 in the chat if you enjoyed it, or put your clapping hands.
Before we leave, I must hear from where we go from here and the family as we pursue an open, impartial look at what happened to Nolan. May we hear from the Attorney General of Black America, Attorney Benjamin Crump.
Y'all give it up for Reverend Al Sharpton. What a message. What a message. Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells. Now let's say it so his family will know they are not alone. Justice for Nolan Wells. Thank you. I stand before you with a plea for justice. I'm so grateful that Reverend Al Sharpton, America's civil rights leader, did not think it robbery to stand with Christine and Elmo and all of their family, to let them know that despite what some people may say or do that is so insensitive, so disrespectful, so inhumane, while you all are grieving the worst loss that any parent could have, that people from New York, people from Los Angeles, people from Chicago, Detroit, London, Paris, all over the world has been calling Nolan Wells' name. Justice for Nolan Wells. I am so very grateful Reverend Al, Reverend Toon, that we have a great team of lawyers and investigators because it's always a team effort. As I heard Elmo often talk about, T.O., Nolan was a great teammate. And everybody who's ever played on a team and who has been successful in their endeavor understands that you're only as good as your teammates are. So I want to just acknowledge Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Gary Buffkin, Attorney Carlos Moore, Attorney Camila Moore, and all those great paralegals and investigators and activists. All the people who are encouraging people to call and give us information so we can get to the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. We want to thank you all. It matters. It matters. We're on a ferocious search for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And so it is very important that you all understand our legal team. And we have these great co-counsels, but Reverend Al, we're all co-counsels. Anybody who's seeking the truth for what happened to Nolan Wells, I want you all to know that you all are our co-counsels. Amen? Y'all all our co-counsels. And on this legal team, we stand for truth, no matter who it implicates or exonerates. We stand for justice, no matter who it convicts or who it acquits. We stand for transparency because we don't need law enforcement to narrate, because we want transparency, because we can see. We don't need them to tell us what they think. And that's why we need all of you to encourage people who were on Horn Island on July 4th. If you took a picture, if you have a video, if you have Snapchat, if you have anything, we are pleading on behalf of Elmo, and especially on behalf of Christine. As she said, any parent would want the answers as to what happened to their child. They went out on the boat came back, and Nolan washed up on the shore 2 days later dead. Wouldn't you want answers?
Yes.
Wouldn't you want transparency? Wouldn't you want the truth? When you want justice, I mean, is that so much to ask? I think so much about Reverend Al and all these cases where we champion the cause for justice, whether it was any number of young people. I think about Trayvon Martin. I think about Michael Brown. I think about Breonna Taylor. I think about Botham Jones. I think about Stephon Clark. I think about Sonia Massey. I think about so many of our children that were taken from us in highly questionable circumstances. And all the time when Reverend Al and NAACP and leaders show up to say, hold on, we want answers. We want answers because we love our children just like you love your children. Our tears are just as painful as your tears. Our pain hurts just as much as your pain. So whatever you would do for your children, if they were on that boat on Horn Island on July 4th, we want you to do it for Nolan Wells. Whatever investigation you would give for your children, we want you to do it for Nolan Wells. Whatever searches you would do on people's phones for your children, we want you to do that for Nolan Wells. Do it for Nolan Wells. Because really, if we're thinking like co-counsels, understand that Nolan Wells was the son of Christine and Elmore, but he really was all of our sons. Because if something this tragic could happen to their son, it can happen to your children. So we all have to stand up together and say we're fighting for justice for Nolan Wells because he is our son too. And they want us to be quiet. Reverend Al, Reverend Holmes, they want us, Crump, won't y'all just go ahead and, we already told you it was no foul play. What do you keep making so much noise? Well, until we get answers, until we get to truth, until we get to justice, we're going to stand up and we're going to keep ringing the justice bells for Nolan Wells. We're going to ring the justice bells for Nolan Wells here in Mississippi. We're going to ring the justice bells for Nolan Wells in the United States of America. We're going to ring the justice bells for Nolan Wells all over the world because Nolan life mattered. Nolan's 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 life mattered. I was gonna, Christine, Emma, can you all come up with this one last time? Y'all understand, really, we work with so many families. The reason we all got to stand on our feet and say Nolan life mattered, because as Reverend Al said, at some point, the cameras are gonna go away, the crowds are gonna go away, the government investigation gonna go away, and they're gonna feel so alone, as if nobody cared, that nobody felt that Nolan's life mattered. So I want you to stand to your feet and let them know that Nolan's life matters. 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 Nolan's life matters.
Let me say to Christine and Elmo, before we do the prayer of committal and escort the family out, I just got a text, Christine and Elmo, you know that Tyler Perry said he would pay for the funeral. He must be watching because he said, I'm gonna match you and put up $50,000 more. So we putting up $100,000 for anybody that'll come forward. We just want the truth, that's all. We just want the truth. And we want to thank Tyler Perry. He must have been watching. Want to thank Colin Kaepernick, who paid for Colin Kaepernick, a real giant in our community, shouldn't be disrespected by anybody. But I'll leave that for when I get back to Harlem. But thank you, Colin, for what he did for this family. I'm going to ask Reverend R.B. Holmes to give us the prayer of committal, and then we will have the pallbearers, and we will do the recession. Now may God in his providential care. Bless, keep, and strengthen this mother and father and family. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Looking forward to the resurrection when Noah will rise again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Excuse me, we need everyone to remain seated. We need everyone to remain seated as we escort the family out. Please, we need everyone to remain seated as we escort out the family. If you're not a family, please remain seated. Thank you.
That's a beautiful picture of Nolan. Okay. Okay, guys, I think that's the end of that funeral service. That was a wonderful service. It really was. It was a wonderful service. Nolan Wells Funeral, Center Point Church, Ocean Springs, Mississippi, 39564. That was a wonderful service. That last song was amazing. I loved it too, Sweet Tea. That was, oh, Teresa, I love that song. Barbara, yes, Lord, we know your name and will not let it disappear. Thank you, Barbara, for being here. Thank you for coming in. That was such a wonderful service. That was such a wonderful service. My heart goes out to the family, praying that the truth will come out. God bless the family. Thank you, Christine. Thank you for being here as well. Thank you all for being here. Let me see what else they got going on here. Just give me 1 second. That was so heartbreaking, touching as well. That was heartbreaking. Let me see. Any other commentary on it? Let me just say this. My throat is trying to get. Just give me a second, guys. Let me just show you some pictures of him and his family and everything. This was his funeral. I think I got the date wrong. Let me just make a correction and then I'll correct it on my thumbnail. His date of birth was August 19th of 2007, August 19th of 2007. And they got the date of death as July the 6th, 2026. That's what they have as the date of death. So I'll make sure I do a correction on that. I think all the major outlets was covering it as well. Yeah. I wanted to make sure I cover this. I didn't want to not cover it. I made sure I got up so I can cover this. I didn't want to be not covering it. Let me just, there's something I did want to show you all too. Let me see, can I pull it up? Wait. Let me see, can I, I'm trying to make sure I can find it. Just give me 1 second, guys. Here it is. This is what I didn't get a chance to show last night. And I'm going to just show some of this. This is what PBS News ever. I intended to show this last night, but I didn't get around to it. So I'm going to show it today. All right. Now, I'll tell you what, I'll let the funeral just speak for itself. Because this is an hour long. And I don't want, well, since I'm already here, let me just go ahead and put it on. PBS News. This is Nolan Wells family calls a probe into the teen's deaths with attorney being crime. I wanted to show this, but I didn't get a chance. So I'm going to just go ahead and show it, okay?
It is clear that this situation must have the most thorough and objective investigation to lead to justice. What we've been told does not make sense. And being that there is lack of confidence in the local authorities, who have already, in my judgment, seemed to have mishandled where it was going. Because to just immediately, before a week time, saying there was nothing done wrong, when we hear that this young man was engaged in some kind of argument that was on tape, that his cell phone and keys ended up with one of the people that were there on the island and got away. He was one black with 3 young white men who happened to end up with his phone, happened to end up with his keys. Then there's just too many questions that they should not be closing the investigation. Now, I'm from Brooklyn, so I'm a little different than some of y'all. I was built different. My nose is out here, my eyes are here, my brain is here, which means some things I can smell before I could see and before I can figure out. This does not smell right. So some people are saying, Reverend, are y'all bringing in race? Well, we're not bringing in race, but we're not discounting race either, because we don't know what it is. So to tell us don't rush to judgment saying it was racist is fine. But then I'm telling you, don't rush to judgment saying it was not racism.
Thank you.
Because we do not know. We do know what these parents are being told and what the parents have now shared with us does not make sense. How do you end up a young, promising football player, not in trouble, mother and daddy at home, everything we tell them to do and be. They go on the 4th of July, on the anniversary of this country, going to an island, we're outing with his friends, and the friends come back, and he's left there with some story about he said leave them behind. But then by some magic, one of the friends has his keys and his phone. Mind you, his mother tracked down the phone. They didn't voluntarily tell her they had his phone. They didn't voluntarily say they had the keys. So if they had not been tracked down, we don't know if they ever would have known where it was. Some of this doesn't make sense. So we are absolutely a National Action Network and other groups going to rally behind this family. I have told them that whatever we can and need to do, we will do it because this smacks of some of the worst fears that we've had historically, not only in Mississippi, but in this country. And we are there until the end with them. I've been asked by the family to be in Mississippi for the funeral to officiate, which I'm going to do. We just got off the phone with Tyler Perry, the actor who says he wants to help cover whatever expenses for the funeral. We have with us Spike Lee is in the house. Many of our people that have always supported families are there. This is not about them trying to raise money. We're going to take care of that. This is about, though, they got to keep going forward. But we want justice and let the chips fall where they may. If it ends up being one way that we suspect was wrong, fine. But if it's another way, don't back up and play games with this. They are not activists or lawyers. So they only want justice for their son. I'm an activist. When we get there and they say we heating things up, that's what we do.
because sometimes you got to make people sweat to get the poison out their system. I'm the sweat man, and they are the parents that want to see justice for their son. Let me let you hear from Christine and Elmer Wansley, and then Attorney Crump. Let's get it. Okay, Attorney Crump, and then we hear from you.
Thank you, Reverend Al, for always answering the bell as you have done on so many occasions when families get the worst news of their life. And make no mistake about it, Christine and Elmo got the worst news of their life on what was supposed to be a joyous occasion where everybody was celebrating the 4th of July weekend. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Lisa Park and Jared Presson and Camila Moore. We have the honor and the privilege of helping to lead an independent investigation on behalf of the family of Nolan Wells. Why do you say we need to be retained to lead an independent investigation? It is because the family has distrust of the Mississippi law enforcement officials giving them a fair investigation where their Black son ended up dead after going out on a boat with 3 young white men. The history of Mississippi is something that they don't just read about in books, but it's a lived experience for many Black Americans, that oftentimes when our children are killed in highly questionable situations, that there is this notion that, oh, it was nothing wrong, no foul play, let's just sweep it under the rug. Well, we refuse to sweep it under the rug. We refuse to just let Nolan Wells' death be in vain. We're going to make sure that we get to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because Nolan deserves it. You're going to hear his mother and father talk about what a wonderful young man he was. I mean, doing everything right. Reverend Al, he was not only a college student, he was a great athlete. He was a model big brother for his brothers and little brothers and sisters. And he was a great son who was on the cusp of becoming a man. I mean, Christine and Elmore did everything to prepare him for this moment. He was so close. He was right there. You're going to hear his father talk about him had a good football season last year, but this season he was really ready to go to the next level, to go to Division I. I mean, the highlights that you're seeing on social media of his athletic prowess, I mean, it is all relevant, because when you start talking about drowning, I mean, this is a kid who knew how to swim. This is a kid who was in tip-top shape. He was a superior athlete. And so I'm going to get to that in a moment, these glaring contradictions, but to try to say, oh, we're suggesting it was just an accidental drowning, you can go ahead and move on. Well, they are not accepting it. They are not accepting it. They want to know that you have not taken the path of least resistance, that you have done a full, complete, thorough, impartial investigation, because it cannot be lost on anybody, but especially us in the Black community. Mm-hmm. If the roles were reversed and you had 3 young Black men on a boat with a young white man, and that young white man ended up dead, what kind of investigation would be being conducted by the Mississippi law enforcement officials? How many times would those 3 young Black men be interrogated?
They'll be in jail.
So all we're asking is the same consideration you would have given if the roles were reversed. Give that consideration to this family as well. That is our fight. The glaring contradictions just jump out at you. The fact that he is there with his friends, and you look at all the videos, it seems to be he's the only Black on the island, or maybe one other, but not many. And so, Jared, you have where a young woman he was talking to says that, well, Nolan said he was going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys say that Nolan told them he was going to stay and talk to the young woman. it's a contradiction. They're not saying the same thing. One of them is telling the truth. One of them is not.
Right.
We have to get to the bottom of that. It's important. And then the fact, Reverend Al, that they have this video of an argument that is going on. And you know, thank God, all young people, they have cell phones, and anytime you hear people raising their voice, they start the video. And so you hear on the video, Nolan saying, "Give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?" And that becomes even more relevant when you think about the story that they are presenting, that Nolan chose to stay behind. That's what they're saying. But his phone, he would take that with him if he's going to stay behind on an island. I mean, we're talking about an 18-year-old kid. What teenager would leave their phone behind if they're going to stay on this island? What teenager wouldn't take their phone? And so it's not adding up. It's not adding up at all. The fact, as Reverend Al said, you know, they didn't take his phone with them. His mother, when she finds out that her baby is missing, they start trying to track the phone. The GPS, the phone, they use Life 360, and they discover that, well, the phone is on land. The phone is on land, but you're saying he went missing on the island. And so it's not adding up. And so they go get the phone. And you hear her tell herself, when her and her sister start going through his phone, Jared, they realize that there are deleted messages. So they're trying to figure out, well, why are there deleted messages on his phone? I mean, it becomes relevant when you start putting everything together, where we can't just say, oh, there's no instance of foul play. We're going to get to the truth one way or the other. The fact that, and this really makes no sense to me, Reverend Al, this notion that, well, he drowned, y'all have, I'm sure, seen all the videos out there. I mean, if he's drowning, nobody sees him drown, nobody offers assistance, nobody tries to help him. I mean, obviously, he stands out. I think, the only black person I saw when I'm looking at the videos. And if you see him drowning, you mean nobody is going to try to help him? It's not adding up. It is not adding up. And that's why the family, at their behest, we had an independent autopsy being performed. And we thank Colin Kaepernick for helping to pay for that independent autopsy. And we thank Tyler Perry for helping to pay for the funeral. Because as Reverend Al said, these were just regular parents going about their life. They weren't expecting any of this. And then we're having to try to hire all these experts to be able to go and see if they can retrieve deleted messages. We have to have experts. You'll hear from Attorney Pointe talk about, you know, where the body was found when it was recovered and how long it took to be recovered. We think all of those are relevant issues to trying to understand what really happened to Nolan Wells. And this independent autopsy is so very important because we had his body flown from Mississippi to Washington, D.C. because his family wanted to make sure that they had a doctor who had no ties to Mississippi law enforcement to do an independent examination of their son's body. And we are hopeful to get that results in the very near future. We were hoping we would have had it today. However, as you all know, here in New York, they canceled all the flights yesterday. And so it took a long time for his body to get to the medical examiner's office in Washington, D.C. But rest assured, as soon as we get those results, we will make them known to you because we believe transparency is very important. We want to lead by example. We want them to be transparent, and we want to be transparent. We know they conducted the autopsy. We are waiting on their results as well. The final thing I will say is this. If there are any people who are on that island, any young people who recorded videos, who witnessed things, who may have saw Nolan at any time on the island, please, please, please let us know. Please call Ben Crump, call the 800 number, just any information. They are desperate. We're in a ferocious pursuit for the truth. And y'all, if it was your child, wouldn't you want everybody who knew something to let you all know? This is a horrible way because it's so tragic on so many levels. Brad, before we bring the parents up, why don't we have Attorney Lisa Park, who is helping head up the investigation with our office.
My name is Lisa Park. I'm the senior attorney for the Ben Crump Law Office in Atlanta. It is our honor to work with the family to try to find answers in this case. I think that most of you at this point are aware of Ben Crump Law and many of the cases that we represent in this country. Some of these cases you don't know anything about until we get involved and we shed some light and we explain to the media what has happened and you all let America know what has happened. Mm-hmm. Sometimes cases come and you all already know about it. This is one of those cases. I saw this in the news before I got a call from Ben. This was already huge in social media, already out in general media. Why? Why? Because it doesn't take an attorney. It doesn't take a special investigator. It doesn't take someone with extreme training to know right off there's something wrong here. This is, as Ben has put it, not adding up. It is so obvious. There are so many people in this country that go missing, right? Everybody knows this. But this case has captured everybody's attention. Think about why. You know that something is not right. It doesn't take us. It doesn't take the Reverend Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, to tell you and then think, oh, now I know something's wrong. We know something is wrong. And for every single person that was in Horn Island, and we know there's about 200 people, there's a lot of people. We know that Horn Island is a popular place during the holidays. It's a popular place on the weekends. You have to get there by boat. It's the only way to get there. You have to leave by boat. It's the only way to leave. So many people out there. If you are watching this, if you see this, and you are struggling about what to say or what to do, you know what the right thing to do is. Call Ben Crump Law. There's this thing called the internet. It's very easy to find that number. Call us. We have an entire call center. They're waiting to hear from you. If you didn't go to Horn Island, but you've heard something, because people are talking. They're talking with each other. They may not be calling the police. They may not be calling us. But you heard something. We need to know that. We need to know that. In America today, so many of us, we want to believe that the last several decades, we've made so much progress in our race relations, don't we? We want to believe that. Whether you're Black or you're white or you're Asian, that's what we want to believe. We wanted to believe that this past 4th of July when we celebrated 250 years, right? If you want to believe that, you've got to be part of the solution. You've got to be part of that. You have to make it happen. And if you have information, please call us. It is incredibly important. People out there, you have answers. You may not know exactly what your information means, but if you saw something, say something, please.
All right, we're going to hear from the parents, and then we'll have Q&A. And what I want is when we go to the media, identify yourself and your outlet so we know who is speaking. And let me say again that we are standing with this family till the very end and make sure we deal with justice. Let's first hear from the mother, Christine Wanda.
First of all, I want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. This is not how I wanted the world to meet my son, but here we are. So, as you know, I'm Christine Wills-Wansley. I am Nolan Wills' mom. And Nolan is the kindest soul. He never met a stranger. He loved everybody. He didn't care if you were black, white, purple, green, looked like a marshmallow. Like, he just wanted everyone to be in peace with one another. He loved life, and God gave him this big heart, which always scared us. Me and his dad had conversations with him all the time, not just about the importance of understanding our history as Black people, but also the importance of how you have to move in certain spaces. And it's not us feeding into racism or the stereotypes that comes with that. Unfortunately, that is just a matter of fact. There have been many cases, many instances that shows that it's unfortunately a pattern that he did not like. He did not like that there was so much division, and I think that's why God gave him us. He was really a peacemaker. He wanted, like I said, everyone to be included. He never wanted to leave anyone out. He just, even at a young age, I don't know, he was, how old was he? No, not 18. So his father and I were having a moment, and as couples do, and even in that moment, he runs in the room with his diaper on, of course, and he starts dancing because it was like he could feel the tension. He could feel that something wasn't right. So he was just a special kid. Like, he was a special kid, but again, just heart was so big. And we're gonna miss him dearly. But we are grateful, especially to our friend Tashima, who actually was one of the people who helped us that night. She went and picked up his cell phone from where it was and then provided that to us, because we of course contacted authorities to figure out who to do the report with, whether it was the county or the city, which then turned into DMR, who I contacted immediately from there. And so our friend actually, when I called her, Nolan is best friends with her two sons, Jalen and Javon. When I called her, I said, Tashima, have you seen Nolan? He's missing. No one has seen him. No one has talked to him. The boys were actually with her sons. So they opened up their Snapchat, because a lot of the kids do have their locations where they're tracking one another. So one of the boys says, well, it's showing that, I can't exactly remember what his location was showing, but my Life 360 location was showing something completely different. It was actually showing that his phone was like he was on land. And so we ended up, she received the phone from that parent, and then we met up where his car was, which was at a separate location. There were issues obtaining the key, but even so, there's just a lot of.
Tell them about what happened with the keys. So
I'm gonna let my husband tell you about that, because he actually went up to the door to get the key, because at that point, I was just not in my right mind. This has just been an awful situation, just terrible.
Elmore, father.
Okay, so the situation with the key. When we got to the house, a few of his friends, they were already there, and they were at the door in the house, asking questions. So when I walked up, they were getting, things getting kind of tense. So I turned to them and told them, I need you guys to calm down. I don't do this to me right now. I need them to kind of trust me so they can give me something. So I was able to calm them down. So the guy, he's in one of the pictures, he came out of the room, half asleep or whatever, I think Jack's or whatever. And I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. I'm here to get his keys so I can get his car. I said, he's like, his car's parked in the yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. I know it's like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go in your room and see if you can find my son's keys so I can take his car home? He walks off, 2 or 3 minutes, come back. I can't find the keys. I said, okay. So at that point, I get the boys, and I get moved them out of the house, because I didn't want them to go into the house and start tearing up these people's houses, because they'd never be a in the situation. So walk outside by the car. One of the guys that was in the house with us, he was on the phone with a girl, and the girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jack's guy's Xbox in the house because apparently she was there with him earlier. So he goes back up to the door by himself, and 5 minutes later, the keys come out. So now I feel like you lied to me. So now I'm really like in distress with you. But as far as the night goes, if I knew we wanted to have a boat, I would have went out that night looking for my son. We tried, but I don't have friends with boats. But if I knew someone with one, I would have went out that night. And this so happened that his coach saw all the stuff on Facebook that next morning and contacted me at like 5 in the morning, asked me if we want to go out. And I told him, and so within an hour, he was at the dock. We met him, and we went out. We docked the boat, got off the boat, walked on the island, walked a pretty nice stretch, came back, got back on the boat, went around the island, looked, came back around, and where we went to, that's where apparently they say that his body floated up. I don't know a lot about water currents or that, but I would think that we would have saw his body. And on the trip there was a family that stayed a night on the island, like actually tented out on the island. So if he was left, he would have saw that family on the island, and it was 2 other boats docked, so he would have had help. So I don't know. I think we stayed there for like an hour and a half. That's when Jackson County and the sheriff department showed up, and they were going to do their rounds. And I had a classmate of mine, him and his 2 boys. They came out and they searched, and then they came back and touched me and said the Coast Guard had finally showed up in airplanes. So
what is so critical, what Elmo is saying is they went out on Sunday, and the tide, if it brought his body up, he went missing on July 4th, as they say. His body should have been there on July 5th. Why would it not appear to July 6th? And that's one of those things that's just not adding up. And the fact that if he stayed behind on the island, there were boats there. There were people. Somebody had to see something. That's why it's not adding up. And that's what they're saying. It is just not adding up.
Yes. And if he was there 2 days, somebody on the island would be able to verify that. 2 days and nobody's come forward and say, no, he was with us, or no, we saw him. It just does not make sense. Make it make sense.
Just one last thing. We want her to talk about the cell phone deleted messages.
You're talking off mic.
I'm sorry. I thought my voice was loud enough. One last thing. We want to have Christine talk about the cell phone from her perspective before they tell you who Nolan was, and then we'll take your questions.
So when we made it home, my sister and I actually went through Nolan's cell phone, particularly Snapchat, because that is so popular with the children. And when we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day. And we did open it before the 24-hour expiration. So we found that very concerning, only because anyone who's ever been around Nolan will tell you at social gatherings, he's taking videos, he's taking pictures, he's even come up to me when I'm getting ready to go to bed. Hey, Mom, come on, take a picture of me. You know, like that was Nolan. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted, was because of the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts. But I do want to say this. I would hope that any parent who, God forbid, would be in our situation, I would hope that you would do the same thing. I would hope that you would ask for any help, receive any help to get answers, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We just want to know. We just want to know what happened and why our baby didn't come home. Like that's our biggest thing. And we are so grateful to everyone, family, friends, classmates, United Cajun Navy, everybody that's assisted us. We appreciate you. There's not enough thank yous that we could say or give to you, but I just, we just want to know. We want an honest, thorough investigation. That's all we're asking for.
Do you want to say about who Nolan was?
Nolan is a person with a big heart. He's loved by not just his family, but the community. He's a born people person. He really developed a bond with his baby brother because both of them played the same position. So he was really understanding the business side of the sport, which is football, and understanding that it's not just a game you play. So the stuff that I was telling him, it was kind of starting to sink into him, and he was really getting more in depth into it. And I could see as he did that, his baby brother really started getting more into it as well, as far as being more focused, because he saw, well, if my big brother is about to go do this great thing, then I want to do this great thing, but I want to do it better. That's why that's what made them so like vinegar and oil. It was like they was always at each other, but they were the same. When I look at my youngest, I'll say Nolan, or when I look at Nolan, I'll say my youngest name. So they would train together. I would always say, hey, you did some push-ups and you don't want to run some routes. And they know when I say it, next day they're out there running routes. Even my other son, he'll go out there. He doesn't play their position, but he would go out there and work and exercise and work out because they were understanding what I was talking about. They were growing, they were becoming men. So this was his time. He would always talk to me. I would always give him my advice about stuff. I always try to tell him what to look for. And as I always tell him, I said, son, I'm giving you this advice and I'm telling you this stuff, but you're gonna have to experience this. But when you experience it, it won't be foreign to you. You'll have some kind of idea of how to navigate through it. And I think me and his mother, I think we did a great job with that. That's why it's so hard for me to believe that he would choose to stay on the island. It just wasn't his character. It wasn't his character. So Nolan is the funniest kid in our family. Speaking of the time she was talking about, we were having a kind of heated moment, and I don't know if you guys remember did a dance called Stinking It. I think my son created it because we were sitting in that closet living and just like talking. He literally came to the closet door and peeked around and stood in front of him and just started doing this little crazy dance. And I was like, we just bust out whatever we was talking about, we stopped laughing. Then we called him to us and we just hugged and laughed and played. But then maybe 6 months later, something hit. But we always said he created the Stinking Leg dance. But that's my greatest memory of my son.
What are you telling your other children about this?
My son Ethan, he's hurting. These are the younger ones. He's like, Dad, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I'm like, son, you got to keep going because he would want you to be better. His youngest brother Elmore, the one that really worked out with him, he was like, I'm hurt, Dad, but I said, Nolan wants you to be the best he can be. He would want you to outdo him. And whenever you feel like you're in a bind or having some kind of problem, call on your brother, talk to your brother. My twins, the loss of a younger sibling is hurting them. They have to figure out how to navigate through life without him. And my daughter Carly, with her being away, it's really hard for her because she's not around family now. So she's out on, doing life like us, but she's doing it on her own. So she has to do this by herself. We're here, by phone, but we're not there in person. So she really has to draw on the people that surround her when she's not home. So all together, my family, this is gonna be our new norm. He was the jester in my court, and yeah, he will be missed. Great, not by us, but by the whole community.
We will announce the funeral services when it is finalized, and we'll be going to help I will officiate at the funeral in Mississippi. Again, we're taking questions, but identify who you are, and please be respectful to families in mourning, but because they want justice for their son, they came to New York to make this appeal. But let's not make this a circus. Yes.
Christiane, there's time for the New York Post. First of all, I just want to say, I'm so sorry I lost the family. I have a couple of questions. When was the last time you heard from Nolan? What did he say? Was there a call or a text? What was said during that last interaction? And also, how do you know that it's Nolan saying, give me my phone, what you do in that video?
Say the last question.
How do you know that it's Nolan saying, give me my phone, what you doing in that video?
Yeah. Well, the second one is other children who are saying it was Nolan. Yeah.
So the last time we spoke and saw Nolan was July the 3rd. He actually cooked dinner, actually for us, because I had gotten off work. It's been really busy. And so he cooked dinner with salmon. He baked it. So proud. And then after that, he was just like, hey, Mom, I'm about to go. I love you. Gave us a hug, kiss, and he left. Which of course, you know, he knew we always looked at the like 360. So there were times maybe he didn't call us to let us know we made it, but we would see it. He would text at some point, but that was the last time we saw and spoke with him.
Sir.
Tim Grant from Washington Post. Two questions. First, who is doing the autopsy in Washington, D.C.? And second question is, as part of your independent investigation, have you planned to reach out to the other boys who's with to ask them to voluntarily speak to your investigation?
Dr. Roger Mitchell is doing the independent autopsy on behalf of Nolan Wells' family. And we understand that the young men have lawyers, so we will have to have their lawyers agree to let them speak to our investigators. And we have not attempted to talk to them as of yet. We have been attempting to talk to many of the students and people who are out there that we are aware of.
Okay. Right here.
Okay. Justin Finch, Inside Edition, asking a question here. First, for the family, wondering if you recall from your friend what was said to her by the people who gave her Nolan's phone, and for Attorney Crump, wondering for you, at some point, will that phone be given to police for their investigation and express interest?
Yes.
So the exact wording of the exchange, it was through phone, because again, we were busy trying to figure out who was going to take the missing persons report. Just because when it's in water, when it occurs on the island, it's not necessarily the city or the county, because then it becomes an issue of jurisdiction. So like I said, she went there and spoke with, I cannot remember, I'm so sorry, my brain is everywhere. But she went to the house and retrieved the phone. She said, I have this phone, the phone looks okay. As far as like appearance goes, it didn't look damaged or anything. And so then after that, we met with her at the other house where he had stayed the night, July the 3rd, where his car was. Because it was important for us to try to retrieve everything of his that we could. But it, honestly, for both instances, it was a run around, because I know she had issues getting his phone as well. And she ended up calling me, and I think I spoke with the mother. She put me on speakerphone, and I was like, hey, you know, yes, I'm Christine, I'm Nolan's mom. We need his phone. We're trying to find him.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay. We'll go her and then you.
I guess let me answer the second part of the question. Absolutely, after our experts be able to examine the phone, we will let the Mississippi investigators examine the phone. And it's fortuitous that they have the phone, because normally in these investigations, as you know, Reverend, they would have the phone and stuff, and they would keep it for months. And the family just be in limbo. But thank God we have the phone now. We're going to do it expeditiously and give it to them to examine it as well.
Anna Schechter with CBS News. So you said that he stayed the night at a friend's. The first question is, did he stay with the friends that he went on the boat with?
Yes, he did.
And my second question is, has anyone come forward and provided you with other photographs or videos from Horn Island from July 4th that afternoon?
They're starting to send them to our office, and that's what Attorney Parker was being so adamant about. Please continue to send whatever videos you got, whatever pictures you got. And we're very thankful that some young people have done that.
Good afternoon. Darla Miles, ABC 7 New York. First of all, I would like to extend my condolences to you, Mr. and Mrs. Walls. I know this is very brave of you, and we appreciate your transparency. Two questions, also in regards to you right now, Mr. Crump. My first question is, this happened in Mississippi, and you've traveled here to meet with Reverend Al Sharpton. Why was this important to you, and how meaningful has this meeting been with you here in New York?
So we did this because, once again, what we're wanting is transparency, right? Although I do absolutely respect law enforcement, just the fact that the accidental drowning thing, it made both me and his father uncomfortable. Why are we so quick to rush to this? And we just, at the end of the day, we want answers. This has been very impactful. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the day they found him, we were at Port Mars, which is one of the boat launches. And
I was standing beside the water and I had said a prayer and I was like, Lord, this isn't what we wanted. But I just asked him to help us get through this, put the right people in our path that could potentially help us. Because at that point, we hadn't reached out to anybody. We didn't know where to start. This is foreign. We've never been through this. No parent should go through this. And then that's when my cousin, Keezy, she sent me a message with some information. My friend, Bianca, her sister, knows a contact with Attorney Ben. And so I said, okay, this has to be it. You know, like this has to be God helping us along the way. And I am not religious, but I am spiritual. And for that, I was grateful because I felt like things were being set up. And at this point, I have always said, we are taking any help. We don't care, black, white, purple. Like, again, we just want to know what happened. That's all we want to know. We just want to know what happened.
And my quick follow-up to that, were you able to get a clear explanation as to the chain of custody of this phone, like how that parent came in possession of this phone? And then explain the resistance. You said you went to the home to get the keys. I don't understand, like what kind of resistance, what was that exchange of words like, the resistance you received when you went to go retrieve his keys? Thank you.
He just acted like he didn't know where they were. Just like, he was clueless. Like, I don't know. I don't like, but just please, I was like, just please go and look for me. Because, to be honest with you, at that time, I was very emotional. No one was giving me any answer. So that situation with me and them could have went totally left field. But since those other young kids were in there, at that moment, they kept me from doing what I wanted to do. So getting them and calming them down, it helped me focus on what I was really for to find the keys. And like I said, when I asked him, he said he went and looked. And so he said he couldn't find them. I did what I needed. I left out of their home. And like I said, 5 minutes later, he come back out with the keys. And they didn't come back outside anymore until the police came. Because at that time, police were called because we were looking for his wallet. And then they went to the door. But other than that, when they sent keys out, they locked everything. They didn't want nothing to do with what was outside that door. So that's that right there. Is when you lied to me, it killed all trust in we had.
All right, we'll take the last 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead.
Maria Campanodi with CNN. 2 questions for Attorney Crum, just to get some clarification on the timeline of the events. When was Nolan last seen and by whom? And the second question is, who first reported Nolan missing and when?
Well, and I asked his mother to also assist on the second question. But as it's conflicts. You know, the young woman said that he went and got back on the boat with the boys. The boys say no. He said he was going to stay with her. And that's a conflict. And the troubling thing is if they're saying, well, he made the decision to stay behind, would an 18-year-old college student say, go ahead without me, I don't want my cell phone or anything? It just doesn't add up. And so that around that 3 o'clock time seems to be the last time that we have those statements. However, as Christine said, they're suggesting that they didn't leave till 4:30 though. So, you know, if you said you were leaving at 3, well, you left at 4:30, and where was Nolan for that hour? And I think she was asking about the cell phone.
When was he last seen?
Oh, I asked the last scene. I thought you said something else.
When was he first?
Oh, missing.
So his friend contacted me. It was around 11:07, and then I called my friend to ask her had she seen him, because that would be the only other place I would think he would go if he were back on land. And so then when she told me no, she's like, "Don't worry, I'm going to look for him." And that's when we got on the phone. First, I called. It was either the county or Ocean Springs. It was either one of them, but whichever I called first, I was directed to call DMR because DMR, if I'm not mistaken, they handle cases with the island or the water in that area. So the young lady took the information down. She's like, "I'm going to give you a call back." I said, "Okay." So when she called me back, she explained to me, she was like, "I've spoken with the Coast Guard," which his friend had contacted the Coast Guard. Warren had contacted the Coast Guard to report Nolan missing as well. So I'm on the phone with the DMR. He's calling Coast Guard. And she said, I spoke with Coast Guard, and you're going to have to complete the report with, I think it was Ocean Springs. So we go down to the Ocean Springs Police Department. We're told because it's a jurisdiction issue that they can't file the missing police report. Jackson County the Sheriff's Department ends up calling me back, I think if I remember this correctly, and she was calling to check to see were they able to do it. I told her no, they couldn't do it. The young lady on the phone and the officer at Ocean Springs Police Department spoke. He explained to her why Ocean Springs Police Department could not complete the missing persons report. She said, okay, he gives the phone back. She's like, look, I'm just going to go ahead and do it so there's no more back and forth. So my husband and I, we met an officer in the McDonald's parking lot. I think at this point it's maybe around 12, maybe quote me on that. But we explained to him, what he looked like, age, all those things. Last time he was reported seen, which again, by his friend, he said that the last time he physically saw him was at 3 p.m. and they were getting ready to leave the island.
Israel Rodriguez with the U.S. Sun. Have you been able to gather additional information made by Warren's mother actually on social media, where she said the group left the island after they experienced trouble with the boat and that the boat began taking in water?
Your question is what directly? We know she made that statement.
Have you been able to gather additional information on that?
No, we have not.
Thank you. Kevin Ortega-Rojas with Here's Why News. I was hoping that the family could clarify Nolan's relationship with the young men that he traveled to the island with. We've heard different accounts of how long he's known them. And I was wondering also if you folks have spoken to those families since they lawyered up.
High school friends.
Say the part again.
Last question.
Thank you so much, Rev. I want to speak to the family. I stand here as a first cousin of a victim. In 2020, he went out with his friend and the mother, who was white, and he went missing. He was found dead, deceased, in a field behind her house. She was arrested. She was charged with failing to report a missing child and contributing to the delinquent of a juvenile. So your story is very familiar. Your pain, I feel it too. And I will continue to advocate. I'm an activist and I go all across the world. But today I'm here because I stand with you. As a cousin of a victim, I know what you feel when you don't get justice and the system is up against you.
God bless you. Thank you. We will follow up and when we're ready to formal announcements. Again, the funeral service is not to pump religion, it's to seek justice and unity. And we want everybody, black, white, everybody, to come and extol what this young man represented. It's not a protest rally. It will be to really lift up the spirit of this young man and to stand with the family. If we have to do protest rallies, that'll be announced at another time. The funeral services is to talk about how Nolan was a great young man to his family, and we're there to comfort them. Thank you for your time. Let us, please.
So I know I have been seeing some younger people, real adults, older people doing protests. We actually had a very small one in Ocean Springs. Some young boys that knew Nolan, actually some of his friends. So what Elmore and I would like to say is, if you do, please be peaceful. Nolan was not someone who liked fights, physical fights. He really didn't even like arguments. So don't go out there trying to be tough. Just think about what Nolan would want. And I'm telling you, he would not want that type of behavior. So let's just make sure that we keep it peaceful and respectful to one another's and others, and just stay away from negativity. But also to all of those who have sent beautiful messages. We have not gone through all of them, but I want you to know that we appreciate you, your love, your support, standing with us, and just keep us in your prayers.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, guys, that is the press conference with Nolan Wells' family. I've been trying to get that one for you all, and I finally did today. Thank you. Today was Nolan Xavier Wells' funeral today. Okay, he did have his funeral today. Prayers go out to his family, because I know they're going through a hard time, his whole family. And then also, rest in peace Nolan. Rest in peace. This has been something that's been that spoke to everyone all across the country, his death, and all across the world. People has been watching and trying to keep up with what's going on. I do I am sad for this family. I'm truly sad for the family and everything. But rest in peace, Nolan. And thank you all for being here. Thank you all for showing up for his funeral and also for the last part I did wanted to play. All right. Thank you guys. You all have, oh, my throat is acting up, but you all have a wonderful day. And rest in peace, Nolan Xavier Wells.